What up? What up? What up? Mr. Manager here with my first video ever, but also the first in my series of World Cup predictions and preview videos, team profiles. We're starting off today with the host nation as they are going to kick it off later this morning. It's about 6:40 a.m. when I'm recording this. The game kicks off at 10 a.m. here in Mexico City, and I am very, very excited. My goal with these videos is to give some of my friends who maybe don't know quite as much about football some brief overviews of teams so they can have a bit of background while watching the World Cup. Because I have a lot of friends who don't follow football really, but are going to be watching this World Cup. So our first video is me trying to find some interesting things to say about Qatari football, which you might think there's nothing. There's a bit of storylines here in this team. So first of all, we have Qatar. It's located up there somewhere. And it's a small country, less than 3 million people. They speak Arabic there. Capital is a city called Doha, which has, I think, about 1.5 million people in it. As you might guess, as a small nation, they don't have much of a footballing history. In fact, one could argue that they have no footballing history, but that would be wrong to say. 20 years ago, yes, they had no footballing history at all. They have never made it to a World Cup. They have not had any particularly good performances in other competitions up until recently. So this is their first World Cup, and although they are certainly an undeserving host due to the lack of footballing tradition in that country, they're not a terrible team. And I think that it's important to acknowledge that. I mean, the easiest evidence we can point at is that they won the 2019 Asian Cup. They are the current Asian champions. That means they won a tournament that also included Saudi Arabia, Iran, Korea, South Korea, and Japan. All four of those teams are playing in the World Cup and qualified for the World Cup. On their way to winning the Asian Cup, they defeated South Korea 1-0 in the quarterfinals, and then they defeated Japan 3-1 in the final. Those are two decent teams in South Korea and Japan. Both of those teams feature world-class players. Now, that's something that this Qatari team, they don't really have any world-class players, but they were able to defeat some teams with world-class players, and so they should not be overlooked, is the point that I'm trying to make. They won a big tournament recently. They have pretty much the same core intact. They're one of the more veteran teams in this tournament. These players have played together for a long time. A lot of them played together for their club team as well. There's a team called Al Sadd in Qatar that a lot of the players play for. Almost all of their team plays domestically in the Qatari League, which does show you a bit of the caliber of their players, right? So, moving on, we're going to take a look real quick just at how they qualified in their ranking. They qualified automatically because they're hosting, and their ranking is 50th in FIFA. Just as a quick note, this image was suggested to me, this foosball image, while I was making this presentation, and all the other pictures will relate specifically to the teams that the videos are about, but I'm keeping this foosball one in all of them. I don't know why, but I like this one quite a bit. Enough of the behind the scenes. Let's get back to Qatar. So, my goal when making this video was to find like one player that I thought, okay, this guy's cool, this guy's interesting, he's fun to watch, something to get me at least a little bit interested in the host nation and their football team. And I found him. The dude's name, I actually found more than one, but my favorite is Almoez Ali. Almoez Ali is a Sudan-born Qatari national. So there's many players on this team that were born outside of Qatar and have nationalized and are now Qatari citizens or whatever you need to do to be able to play for their national team. So Almoez Ali is originally from the Sudan. But now he's playing striker in Qatar for a team called Al Duhail, and then also for the Qatari national team. And he was a key part of their performance in the 2019 Asian Cup. He scored a lot of goals in that tournament, and that includes two very, very nice goals. One worldy, one absolute worldy. So if you're looking for a guy on this team that might be able to pull a little bit of magic out, it would be Ali. He scored against North Korea a very cheeky little kind of back heel goal, real kind of like poacher's instinctual goal. And then in the final against Japan, the score was 0-0. He received the ball inside the box, but towards the top of the box, proceeded to juggle it a couple times to himself and set himself up for a bicycle kick goal to open the scoring in the final in a game that Qatar ended up winning 3-1. I highly recommend you look up both of those goals. So anyways, that's my guy. This is my dude that I found on Qatar that I think is interesting and exciting. I actually found a couple other players, like I mentioned. Let's just go over briefly some of the other big names for Qatar. Big names is a stretch. So there are a lot of people that were not born in Qatar that play for this team. Hassan Al-Haidos is not one of those. Hassan Al-Haidos is from Doha. He is the most capped player in Qatar's history. He has 167 caps. He plays for Al Sadd, which is a team that I'm going to mention a few times in this video. They are the biggest club in Qatar. That is where Xavi Hernandez used to coach. And they've got some good players on the team, including Andre Ayew and Gunner legend Santi Cazorla play for that team, although Cazorla is 38 years old and getting on in the years. So Hassan Al-Haidos is a number 10 for his club team and for Qatar as well. He can also play out on the right wing, so I'm not sure if he'll be playing centrally or out on the right wing for Qatar. But either way, he's going to be looked at to create for this team. He's technically gifted and he's a creative player. A lot of what Qatar does on offense when they do decide to be ambitious, because they are going to be playing a lot of players at the back, will be coming through Al-Haidos. My second favorite player I found on Qatar after Al-Muaz Ali is Akram Afif. So he also plays for Al Sadd. He is another attacking player with a lot of talent. He's actually valued at 4 million euros, whereas Ali was valued at 2 million euros. So that shows that he's perhaps a little bit more highly thought of, but I mean, that's just what Transfer Market says. Who knows? Anyways, he is an attacking player that is not only just exciting with the ball at his feet, but he makes things happen. He has really good vision. He's a good passer. He has end products. He has a lot of assists, and he also 1 year led the Qatari league in scoring. I believe it was 2019-2020. So Afif can play anywhere across the front three. Maybe he'll line up at left wing opposite of Al-Haidos on the right, or he might also be played as part of a two up top with Ali. Either way, if they do anything exciting, I'm pretty sure Afif and Ali will be involved. One other player who will be involved in the build-up, but also will be important defensively, is Abdel Karim Hassan. So he is a left back, and he is a veteran presence for this Qatar team. He's got 120 caps, 120 appearances for the national team. He's been kind of a mainstay on that left side of this Qatari team since really this whole process, whatever you want to call it, began. He is pacey, which will be really important, especially defending against some of the right wingers that are in this group. Teams like Netherlands, certainly Ecuador and Senegal, all of those teams have good wingers that have pace and that he will have to he'll have to track all day, and he'll have a difficult time. Luckily, he has some pace to rely on. He will be trying to get forward as much as he can. We'll see how ambitious this Qatari team is. I don't know. We'll learn a lot about them today, I think, and how they play against Ecuador. That's a winnable game for them, so we'll see what they do. I would like to see them go for it, but we'll see what happens. The reason I mentioned that is because Abdel Karim Hassan has been known to hit a screamer or two in his career. He had one in particular against Yemen that is just a crazy goal. He has two really cool nicknames that I want to mention before we move on. One of his nicknames is the Gunner, which, of course, as an Arsenal fan, I like. And then the other one is the Flamethrower. So if anyone knows how to say the Flamethrower in Arabic, please let me know, because that is pretty cool. So let's take a look at how this Qatari team could possibly advance. They are the lowest ranked team in their group. You have the Dutch, who are a very highly ranked team, likely to advance first in the group. Then you have Senegal, who, even with Sadio Mane being hurt, probably the favorites to advance second. Those two are pretty clear at the top. It feels like Ecuador and Qatar a little bit more evenly matched. I do believe that Ecuador is a better team, but you have to consider the fact that Qatar is playing at home, and the home boost has never not helped the host team. It's the home boost is always a help to the host nation, right? So I'm very curious to see today what kind of result they get. If they can start this tournament with a win, they could dare to dream about advancing to the round of 16, right? And this is their most winnable game for sure. They've been in strong form. Like I said, they're the Asian champions. They're a solid team. They have played together for quite some time. They are a veteran team, and so they know each other, right? If they can continue playing with that form and with that connection they've shown, I think they can beat some of the teams in this group. Certainly Ecuador and perhaps Senegal. Their forwards, like I mentioned, Afif and Ali, they're exciting players. If Qatar ends up winning some of these games or pulling out some results, I would imagine that some of that comes from some magic created by those attacking players. Seriously, keep an eye on Afif and Ali. I think they're quality guys and will be at the very least fun to watch. My biggest concern for this Qatar team is not, they're not a great team, so I have lots of concerns, but the other three teams in this group all have very good midfields, in my opinion, and I could see this Qatari team just getting completely overrun, just getting worked in the middle. You think about the Netherlands midfield, quality. Senegal's midfield is a veteran midfield that knows their role. All the players are good quality players. And then Ecuador's midfield, I think Ecuador has the best midfielder in this group in Moises Caicedo, or at least the most exciting young one. So Qatar could easily get overrun in the midfield, and I'm curious to see how they play against Ecuador today. Speaking of which, right after recording this video and posting it, I will be recording my Ecuador preview video. And then later today, after the World Cup game, I'll do the rest of Group A and get into Group B, hopefully Group C, so I can give myself a little time. But these videos are taking quite a bit of time to put together. I'm doing quite a lot of research, so the like button, the subscribe button, the comment, all that boring stuff would be greatly appreciated. The final thing I'm going to do in all these videos is I'm going to give you a reason why you should cheer for this team, right? If you want to just pick a random team and you're looking for reasons why you might like this nation or that nation without knowing a lot about their footballing history, I'll try and give you some reasons to cheer for them. I mentioned I found a couple players that I kind of like, but I am going to abstain from giving you a reason to root for Qatar in this World Cup. I don't really want to say much more on the subject, but please don't root for this team. I will certainly be cheering for Ecuador today. And speaking of which, be sure to watch that video. Thank you for watching this one. Ecuador is up next as I continue through Group A. I am Mr. Manager. Peace.